Hello and welcome to another edition of NIU Weekly. It's an exciting time, as always, to be a Husky fan, and so I'm happy to be spending some time with you over the next half hour or so. We got some good guests coming up. We'll be talking to Coach Thomas Hammock, the head coach of the NIU football team, and of course, a man who's become a national celebrity over the last couple of weeks after the big win against Notre Dame. But he's still finding time to talk to me and spend some time with the little guy here. So I'm excited to be talking to him, and as well as Tony Ledwell, the marketing director here at NIU, who's going to be talking about some of the activities, promotions, and a whole lot more going on around Saturday's football game against Buffalo, as well as some of the other sports that are coming up at NIU. Volleyball's got a big game on Friday. Of course, the women's soccer team's off to an incredible start. Basketball season is just around the corner. So we do have a lot to talk about. But we want to talk especially about some of the excitement that has surrounded NIU since that Notre Dame win last week. We're going to keep talking about that one, I think, for a long time. But it's just about time to stop reliving it for the moment and turn the page, because Buffalo is coming up as the Huskies return home. It's going to be a really fun Saturday at Husky Stadium this weekend. And I know there's excitement everywhere. I was walking downtown right along the river just the other day. I saw somebody wearing the No Luck Needed t-shirt celebrating the Huskies win over Notre Dame. So it's always fun to see Huskies fans out in the wild. This thing certainly is spreading all over the place. So that excitement continues around DeKalb. Before we welcome our guests today, there is one note I want to bring up first, and that is the Husky Athletic Fund's Donate the Score campaign. It is going on right now, and you can go to huskyathleticfund.com and click on the graphic to help NIU take the momentum from that huge win against Notre Dame and directly benefit student athletes. There are various levels. You can receive a commemorative football and a piece of game-worn jersey from the Notre Dame game, as well as a keepsake postcard. It's a great way to get involved, to show how proud you are of this team and, of course, of these student athletes. And I know Coach Hammock would share that same opinion. So let's get things started. Let's welcome in today's guests. Happy to be joined now by the head coach of the Huskies football team, Coach Tam Thomas Hammock. Thank you for being here, as always.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We're still coming off that big win against Notre Dame. You had the bye week, of course, this week. So Notre Dame's been the topic of conversation for over a week at this point. I know you've gotten a lot of attention for it, both you personally and the program as well. What were some of the more interesting places that have reached out to you that maybe you weren't expecting?
Well, obviously, it was a great thing for our program to talk to a bunch of different people. And represent the program in a first-class manner. But we moved on pretty quickly from that game, and I think that's the most important thing. Last week, Wednesday, our focus has turned completely to Buffalo, and we're excited about the challenge this week.
Where do you strike the balance between the excitement of, getting the national media attention, getting the key to the city, all of these people and places that are writing features on the team, and obviously you want your team to enjoy that. You want them to get the attention for all of their hard work and for the results that come with that. But at the same time, understanding we're 2 games into a 12-game season, plus potentially the MAC championship, plus the potential bowl game, and understanding we've got to stay focused.
No, I tell them all the time to stay relevant, you got to continue to win. And this week is our first conference game. Buffalo is a good football team, and they have our undivided attention. So, I think our kids are pretty mature. We got some great leadership. They've handled themselves well. And the one thing about our football team, if you don't come out to practice with the right mindset, you can have an opportunity to go out there and get embarrassed. So last Wednesday, we had a great week of practice and came back on Thursday and followed it up, and then got a lot of our prep work done on Buffalo over the weekend to take advantage of that time in the preparation.
You talk about Buffalo getting your full attention. You know that you have Buffalo's full attention too. And that's going to be the case going forward. You get a little national attention. You're in the AP top 25 this week for the second consecutive week. You're certainly not going to sneak up on anybody. The teams that you're playing know that you're coming. And for Buffalo now, this becomes a really big game for them. How do you prepare your team for those expectations?
Well, I think, life's too short to worry about what other people are thinking and people not in our locker room. Our job is to prepare our guys to the best of their ability and get them to play as hard as they possibly can play, and then we'll live with the results. So we're not going to get all. I'm not a big believer in playing head games or mind tricks with our players. We have a veteran group, a mature group. I'm gonna treat them like men, and we're gonna put the work in each and every single day to to give ourselves the best chance possible to be successful.
It's only the third game of the year, but it's already the first game in conference play. Is that a little bit different for you, understanding that you do still have some of those non-conference games left, but at the same time, you kind of have to flip that switch and say, hey, these games count a little bit more than the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to flip the switch. This game is for first place in the MAC, and that's how you have to look at it. Whoever wins this game is going to have a leg up on everybody else. So it's definitely a great opportunity for us. Like I told our players, they don't size you for a ring because you beat Notre Dame. They size you for a ring when you win a championship. And in order for us to compete for a championship, this week is the most important week of our season up to date.
When you look at the challenges that Buffalo presents, what interests you most about their team?
No, it's a well-coached team. Coach Limbo have done a phenomenal job in a short amount of time getting those guys to compete at a high level. They play good on defense. Offense is coming together. And then obviously his background in special teams, they're going to have some things to try to create advantage in special teams. So we got to have all hands on deck in this game. Got to play good in all three phases to give ourselves an opportunity to compete at a high level.
Yeah, and Buffalo has certainly gotten some results early on as well. I mean, they've looked strong in their games. You specifically have had a lot of success historically playing against Buffalo. What do you think has worked well against this team?
Well, I think, for us, you got to protect the football, and then you got to take the ball away. Those two areas are great indicators of giving yourself the best chance to win a game. And so that's been our focus all week. Great ball security and takeaways on defense. And then if we do those two things and play with good execution, I think our players will play well.
How does it change things coming off of a bye week? How does that impact your schedule and what you've done at practice over the last week?
Yeah, no, it's had a big impact. First of all, we've allowed our guys to get healthy physically, mentally, and everything else in between. But then also from a game week preparation, we got a lot of work done over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, which allowed us to be a couple days ahead in our preparation. So we got a lot of physical work in already. Now it's time to clean up the details and the mental work of going out there on Saturday and executing at a high level.
How have you felt about the way that your team has practiced over the last week?
Love the way we practice. It's been physical. It's been intense. It's been competitive. We still get a lot of good on good work. So to keep those guys knowing the speed of the game and the competitiveness that it takes. And I think they've been locked in each and every single day. We got a couple more days here to keep polishing it up. And then obviously go out there and hopefully in front of a big home crowd, go play our best football to date.
When I talked to you last week, one of the things that you mentioned was that you gave the guys a couple of days to enjoy the win over Notre Dame, knowing that you had the bye week coming up. But then you said when you get them back to practice, it's going to be training camp style practices. Have you gone pretty hard over the last week, and how do you feel like your players have responded to that?
No, we've gone extremely hard, and they understood when they got to the practice field, it was business, and so we wanted to make sure we continue to work on the things we need to work on to get better over the course of the season. Spent a lot of time with the fundamentals and techniques of the position, and then spent a lot of time going good versus good. We need to continue to sharpen our edges, and the best way to do that is by going good versus good in situational football opportunities.
How do you think it's going to feel? I mean, it's tough to predict, I think, but how do you think it's going to feel when you take the field on Saturday afternoon, knowing you're coming home 2-0, you got the big win over Notre Dame, you've certainly got the alumni base's attention, you've gotten the fan base's attention, and just knowing that the fans are going to get a chance to express that appreciation for you as you take the field on Saturday?
Well, first of all, I hope it's electric. When you run out for the first time and hopefully it's 20,000 fans there, that gives our team energy. You're energized to perform at a high level with a crowd like that. And people don't understand how much that can do for a home team to create that type of advantage. And our guys have practiced extremely hard to be prepared. And hopefully we have a great crowd that can energize those guys and they help them to go out there and play their best football.
I know you're focused on Buffalo right now, but As we enter conference season, I think it's a good time to just take a look at the MAC as a whole. I'm sure you've gotten a chance to look at some of the results, and some of the MAC teams have shown out pretty well in non-conference play. What are your early impressions of the conference right now?
Well, I think it's a very competitive conference from top to bottom. Obviously, our pod is really strong with Toledo and BG playing really good football right now. So, every week you have to play your best football to give yourself a chance, and then try to stay as healthy as possible for the long term, so you can play meaningful games later in the season.
Coach Thomas Hammock, thank you as always for your time. Hopefully, we're talking next week about a 3-0 Huskies team.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
I'm very happy our next guest is joining the program. Tony Ledwell is here. Tony is the Director of Marketing and Game Experience here at NIU. Tony, welcome to NIU Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I know we've been talking a lot about the big win against Notre Dame for the Huskies football team last week, and then after the open date this past weekend, it's been kind of building momentum coming back to a home game this Saturday.
Sure.
So they're taking on Buffalo at 2:30 at Husky Stadium this Saturday. What kind of response have you gotten from fans about this?
Yeah, I mean, our fan base is, fired up. I mean, we went into the season with a fan base that was hungry for something different. Obviously, with me being new here, kind of revamping our entire fan experience from the start of the yard, going into, live game entertainment and things of that nature. But, coming off of Notre Dame, what a win for our program. I got to be able to experience that. It was absolutely incredible. Couldn't be more happy for our coaches and our student athletes, and our fan base is just, they're ready to be back home with our football program. They're ready, they're fired up, so it's should be a good day on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's my first year with the program, and I've been asking everybody around, like, what is this going to mean? What is this win going to mean for the atmosphere? And the answer I keep getting is I don't know, because it's been a long time since there's been a win this big where the team returns home immediately afterwards. But I know obviously the school wants to capitalize on that. What kind of ticket deals are we looking at on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as soon as, we were prepped on our end, we met going into the Notre Dame game in case anything, happened, we had to be prepared. As soon as it happened, we launched the Boneyard Victory ticket promo, which is $12.50 Eastside GA. And then a $19 for the 19th Boneyard, $19 West Reserved ticket. So that is the upfront ticket deal outside of everything that we're doing for Salute to Service.
So obviously the game itself is a big deal, but you talk about Salute to Service. Saturday is also band day. It's family weekend this weekend at NIU. Tell me about some of the activities that are going around the game that people can expect to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with it being family weekend, obviously a very big weekend here on campus. High school band day brings in a large number of high school students. With our band being larger this year, we're expected to bring in almost 2,000 students that will be with our band. So family weekend, high school band day, the focus of us. Obviously, we have a student athlete in Cannon Woodle who is, a senior and also a kicker, but he is a ROTC cadet. We knew from the jump that we had that tie. We knew what we wanted to build around this game. How do we bring awareness to Salute to Service? How do we execute it at a very elite level and plan for that? So, it is Salute to Service. From that, it's starting from the jump with, the yard. In the yard, we have the U.S. Army Rock Band, a 9-member band that will be in military uniform. That is our band in the yard. The yard opens at 11:30. We'll take the decal that the football team will be wearing on their helmet, and we'll be doing it as a giveaway, as a decal in the yard as well. Coming out of the yard and going into the game, a lot of exciting things that I think our fan base is not aware of right now. We'll have Chicago Skydive. We'll be diving into Husky Stadium. We'll have an Army boot line, 100-member Army military personnel boot line for the team run out. We'll also have, we'll be honoring, all military service personnel in game. We have a football player, and Jason Banks, who is also a Marine veteran that we'll be honoring. We'll be playing tribute in a special feature to Cannon with this and his time in ROTC and what it has meant to him in his plans post grad. But then we'll also be recognizing a World War II vet. And then, perks of it is our mayor is also a veteran as well. So a lot of things building around that, a lot of elements in moving the parts for this game, something that's very special. It's very dear to me coming from a military family. It's something that's very special to our fan base as well. So, just making sure that we're capitalizing on it, but we're also executing this and the meaning behind it, which is bigger than the game at a very elite level for sure.
Yeah, so you've covered a lot of ground there and a lot that's going on this Saturday at the game. One of the things you talked about is the yard and what's going on pregame. We haven't really talked about the yard and what kind of a fan experience that offers to people in general. What can people expect at the yard?
Yeah, coming in, we kind of looked at what the yard was and how we could kind of enhance it. That's the start of, building the momentum going into the stadium for the game. The yard opens 3 hours prior to kick, so it'll be from 11:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. So 11:30 a.m. the band will start playing. We have a lot of our vendors, a lot of our partners that are in there activating. We have our HAF donor tent that's also in there. We have food and beverage that is available in the yard. We also have Victory Threads, which is our new athletics apparel store that sells apparel within the yard. We have, all kinds of activations from kids for kids in the kids zone, inflatables. And then with it being salute to service, we have a lot of, military constituents that will be also joining us in the yard. For this game, we'll also have team autographs with volleyball and men's soccer. Volleyball playing Northwestern the night prior. It just made the most sense to put them in the yard for this game. But also, we'll have a military vehicle display that's in the yard for this game. So we'll have some military vehicles. The military will also be doing some type of fitness challenge for fans to kind of interact with them. So it's a good day. I don't get to really see a lot of the yard because pulled in every other different direction on a game day. But it continues to build from game one. It looks very different for this game. So continuing to just, get behind this program, get behind our fan base, hear our fan base out of what they want and try to see how we can bring that to life here for Husky Nation for sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the football program. I want to move into some other sports as well. But before I do, just very quickly, because this is the last chance that fans have to get season tickets for football games. How do they go about that?
Absolutely. You can go to NIUHuskies.com or you can call, our pack line at 815-753-7225. And our ticketing staff will be able to assist you with that. We actually just got out of a ticketing meeting and people are still renewing season tickets, which is kind of crazy two games in. But, this is the most Saturday games that we've had in quite a while. We have a really good program this year, really 110% bought into this team, this coaching staff, and what our fan base wants as well. So I think we have a lot of momentum. I think we have a chance to truly do something special here, but it takes all of us. Our staff, the football team, but also our fan base as well. Couldn't be more appreciative of what our fan base has done so far. I'm really looking forward to continue to build on it.
And as you said, there are still several more Saturday home games. Season tickets still are the best value for all of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about volleyball a little bit because you already mentioned the volleyball team is in action Friday night, taking on Northwestern and the main arena at the NIU Convocation Center. How do we get tickets for that? How much do they cost? And give me a couple of good reasons to come out to the game on Friday night.
Yeah, for us within athletics is 125 years of Husky athletics. This is going to be our alumni night for volleyball, obviously with it being a big game and it's in, the main arena, the convocation. So we're honoring our alumni for volleyball. It's also our celebration for volleyball specific for 125. So we'll kind of do a deal with that. We're encouraging all of our fans to wear black, doing a lot of things with our students. But really just, trying to get it out there. We're trying to break an attendance record as well for volleyball. I think, with the game being in the combo, they broke an attendance record last year. So we're just trying to move the needle, continue what we do, but also create an experience for our student athletes and our fan base that they want to be part of. Again, for tickets, NIUHuskies.com or call our pack line 815-753-7225.
And this kind of blows me away, but it's true. We're barely over a month away from the start of basketball season. So, how do we get ready for basketball season? Now, the schedules are out. They were released last week. If I want tickets for basketball season, what can I do about that?
Yeah, again, calling our pack line or visiting online, for women's basketball, our season tickets start, as low as $50. And then for men's basketball, it starts as low as $120. If you combine both of them and get season tickets to both, there's differentiation in the pricing of that. Yeah, it should be a very exciting basketball season as well. It's crazy to think that that's almost here as well, but that's kind of how we operate around here. The wheels keep on turning.
Tony Ledwell, the director of marketing and game experience. It seems like you're extremely busy, so I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'll let you get back to work. Thanks for joining me here on NIU Weekly.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And as always, go Huskies.
We have spent a lot of time this week discussing all that's going on at NIU, but it is a busy week in the land of the Huskies. And I think you only get a true appreciation for that when you check out the full schedule for this week, because it all starts Thursday night as the NIU women's soccer team opens up conference play against Miami. And that's going to be a big one, not just because it's the start of conference play, but because the women's soccer team is coming off of their best non-conference season they've ever had. Just one loss in the season so far. That was against the top 10 opponent. So it's very exciting as they travel to Miami out in Ohio for the MAC opener Thursday night. Then Friday, men's soccer is in action at Western Illinois. Volleyball, it's the matchup we've just talked about with Tony Ledwell. They are hosting Northwestern and the main arena at the Convocation Center. It's a 6 o'clock start time for the volleyball team on Friday. Saturday's a big day we've been talking about. The football team takes on Buffalo, 2:30 start time for that, but the yard will be open 3 hours before that. So make sure to come out to the football game. There's so much going on at the football game on Saturday afternoon. Men's and women's tennis are both in action all day as well. Men at Toledo, the women are at the Minnesota Gophers Invitational on Saturday. The wheels keep turning on Sunday. Women's soccer is back at it. This time they take on Ohio. Men's tennis and women's tennis continue their invitationals at Toledo and Minnesota, respectively. Women's golf is at the Mary Fossum Invitational in Michigan, and the men's golf is in Indiana at the Purdue Fall Invitational. And then on Monday, tennis, men's and women's golf are all still at it. Tuesday, September 24th, men's soccer takes on Milwaukee. So a very busy schedule for men's and women's soccer, men's and women's golf, tennis, football, everybody. Volleyball is in action this week. So it's going to be a really fun week for NIU Huskies fans. No question. There will be somebody to root for every day. That's going to do it for this week's edition of NIU Weekly. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me. Hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that you are enjoying what's going on with NIU right now, because it really is a good time to be a Huskies fan. Thanks to everybody for your support continuously throughout this season as well. Remember, you can like this video and subscribe to this channel. Always subscribe to the channel to get the full slate of content, not just NIU Weekly, but press conferences, highlight reels, and a whole lot more. Thanks, as always, to our editor, Kevin Meyer, for putting this whole show together. Thanks to Donna Turner as well for helping to put this show together. To all of our guests today, that includes football coach Thomas Hammock, and of course, Tony Ledwell, the director of marketing and game engagement. We are on the air on Saturday afternoon. Andy Garcia on the call with Mark Lindo and myself as well. 2:30 start time against Buffalo for that football game. So make sure you're joining us for that. 94.9 WDKB for that game. And of course, I'll be back next week. So join me for another issue of NIU Weekly 7 days from now. Until then, enjoy some Huskies athletics this week. We'll talk soon.